Hey guys, it is officially Halloween Horror Night season, and with that season comes the first round of speculation maps. Today we are covering one from Hallowed Out Horror. Thank you so much to Hallowed Out Horror for sending us a new speculation map. This is their first one of the year. In this video we are going to cover specifically Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, and then later on this week we will be putting out a video talking about Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood. So let's get into this without further ado. So come on and join me. So let's run it down, A, B, C, like this, all right? Let's start with A. We have Latin American monsters. Now this sounds really interesting with the Latin American culture and the things that they do have with the monsters there and what they do categorize as monsters. This is very interesting to see. I don't know a lot about the lore on Latin American monsters, but I would love to see this happen because I think it would be a very beautiful house. The culture of it would be amazing because when you think about it, a couple of years ago when they did El Chupacabra, that house was one of the best done houses. It was just beautiful. It was true to the culture and everything. So I think that one is very interesting, and let me know down in the comments what you think about it because I think this could be amazing. B, we have Ghostbusters. Now we've talked about this on the channel at extensive lengths if Ghostbusters is going to come to Halloween Horror Nights, and it looks like according to this speculation map that it's going to happen. So with this being said, really, do we know if this is going to be the original Ghostbusters or this is going to be the new film? I think it's going to fall probably in the new films. I would like to see a throwback to the original, but I have a feeling that this is going to be like the new thing, at least with the new looks, like Slimer and stuff like that. Overall, I'm excited about this. I really am excited for Universal to bring back some properties like Ghostbusters that used to be in the park. And if this is their first way of just slowly rolling this out, I'm all for it. What you could expect for this to be really scary? Probably not. This is probably going to be more of a fun house, kind of like the Beetlejuice house that we got a couple of years ago, which was one of my favorite houses. It was just crazy and just kind of like a fun house, literally a fun house. But I think this one wouldn't be that scary, but it would be very cool and very interesting. Maybe along the lines of what Stranger Things was last year. It wasn't really that scary. It was just more beautiful visually and more interesting more than anything on that. So I think that is very possible. We have Monsters Dracula. If you guys have been following the channel, you know that the last 2 years, the Monsters house has been my favorite house both years. And so when I saw this on the map, I got really excited because they have been my favorite houses. So with this being Dracula, I think this is going to be very interesting and how they will handle this and do this. Now we know a couple of years ago we had Wolfman versus Dracula versus Mummy, and that one was just amazing. And every time I ran through that house, Dracula always was the loser. But this would be cool to have Dracula have his own house this year, make it very interesting. I think Dracula is pretty scary, considering what they're doing with this, and considering if they do the classic Universal's monster Dracula, it could be very interesting and very cool for them to do that. Set in a Transylvania setting with like an old castle kind of look, which I know we've done the old castle kind of look, but really make it like an old castle, very similar to the films and stuff like that. I think that would be very interesting. On the speculation map so far, this is my favorite one that I've seen, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. D, A Quiet Place. Now we talked about this one a couple of weeks ago and how the rumors are kind of going pretty fast with this. A Quiet Place makes sense because there is a film coming out, a prequel film coming out this year, and I think that would be really cool to see. A Quiet Place is really, honestly, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life, with the concept of you have to be quiet. Now, the thing is behind this is I suggested before when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago that what if you walked through the whole house and you had to be quiet and not say anything, and you didn't get any scares? Now that would kind of make it maybe a little bit boring that you went through a house and you didn't get any scares, but it could be really, really interesting. If they do it that way, it might be something that you have to learn, you know, like, oh, I'm going to be really quiet and walk through this. But at the same time, I think they're going to use it more as a, now you guys, we're about to go in here, you got to be really quiet. I don't know how they would, you know, do that without having a RIP tour guide to tell you that. Maybe with some kind of thing, and maybe they could just say quiet please or something like that on the screens that they use sometimes. But it's just an interesting concept that if they really did pull that off, how much fun that would be. I would love it, and I would definitely try my best to be quiet. I mean, I think it would be a lot of fun. But let me know down in the comments what you think, if that would be interesting and that would be fun. Letter E, we have a sequel house. Now we don't know what this one's going to be yet, so we will have to wait and see. So I don't have a lot of comments on this one because we don't know. So this could be an original house from before that is just a sequel to one that has happened before. Possibly, you know, something like Dueling Dragons, which I don't think they would do that right away, but I'm just throwing that out there. The Yeti, that was one of my favorite ones last year. So many that they could do here. And we also know that with the video that came out recently that fear was mentioned, and fear is one of the icons. So we don't know if that is going to be something that's going to come with this, but we will see. We'll wait and see how that goes, because I think that'll be really cool and very interesting. So we're just going to go past that one real quick because I really don't have many comments on that. Letter F, Blumhouse, Imaginary and Insidious. Now Insidious is one that I really want to see. That red demon in that is so scary and freaky. It will literally scare you to death if it hasn't already. But I would like to see this. The Blumhouse house a couple of years ago with Black Phone and Freaky was one of my favorites. Not so much the freaky side, but the Black Phone side was the best part of that, and was like a top contender for me for best house. So I'm really interested to see what this is going to be. I really don't know much about the property that much. I have seen the Insidious films, but I'm really interested to see how this would play out, how it would go. I'm sure it would be scary as heck, because that demon is really, really scary in that. Also on the map here is Megan as well. Now Megan was a film that I actually liked last year when it came out, or the year before that. And a lot of rumors were going around that this was going to be added to last year's HHN. All we got was a Megan dance thing last year. That was pretty much all that we got. So I'm pretty excited for Megan to be in this, because I think it'll be something very creepy, and maybe it'd be a better version of what Chucky should have been at last year's HHN. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm pretty excited that Megan is adding to this list, and that maybe, just maybe, this is all speculation still, that we're going to get Megan this year at HHN. And if you notice right here on the map here, this is actually happening on letter F is happening where the Fast and Furious building is, which is where they had Chucky last year, and then the year before that they did the Blumhouse split Freaky and Black Phone there too. So very interesting to see this, and I think that it's going to be cool to see. Some of these I don't really know how it's going to play out, because I think in my head, like, okay, that could be cool. Some of the scenes that they have in there, that could be really awesome. But then other than that, I'm not overly sure how they do. But I'm all for it. Give it to me. Let's see how it goes. And I feel like the Black Phone one was done really well, because I had seen it a couple of times before I ever went through the house, and I felt like it was pretty close. So they've done pretty good with those. I think Chucky from last year just kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth for that area and that house. But hopefully, you know, it's something better this year. G, we have Greek gods. Now we've been alluding to this one, and I think this is going to be really cool. There's some things, maybe Poseidon, because Poseidon's Fury closed last year, so they could do all kinds of stuff like that. They could bring in different characters from that universe. Of course, the Greek gods itself, Zeus, Hades, all of these. I think it would be really interesting to see, and I think that overall, this house could be the sleeper house. Now, we've had Dueling Dragons last year, which is not really Greek gods, but it's mythology, and it's kind of those Greek mythology kind of things. But I think overall what they can do is build up a house that is almost like predating like Roman period, you know, obviously Greek period, and just have it be, I keep saying this, visually beautiful. I think it could be a really great house when they do this. I hope that they do it, and I hope that everything that they do with this is something that is totally like very accurate to Greek mythology, Norse mythology, all this, or Greek mythology, not Norse mythology, but Greek mythology, and that it would be very accurate in that sense, because you could do so much. There's so many Greek gods, there's so many things that you could really do in this. And then just to have like, maybe, I know this is not the same, but my mind goes to Spaceship Earth when you're going through the Greece area in Spaceship Earth at Epcot, and you smell that burning smell. I think that would be really cool to have something like that, like through the house. And it's just something that I think Universal can pull off really well. Dueling Dragons last year really gave me a lot of faith in what they can do with those kind of things. And that obviously last year was my favorite. That between that one and Blood Moon was my favorite of the original houses last year. So if they can use that energy, put it together for Greek gods, I'm telling you, it'll be amazing. Letter H. Now this one is very interesting because last year with Halloween Horror Nights 32, you could go into the tribute store and you could purchase, well actually beforehand, you could purchase a comic book that you could actually have your face on. And it was really cool when they did that. A lot of people did it, a lot of our friends did it, and it was very interesting. And this was called Tribute to Terror. Now there were some stories in there. They've had different comics that have come out since then that were not about just your face. It was actually Universal Creative that did these comics, and it was really cool. It was something that was very popular and that sold out very, very quickly. Now, I did not read one. I've seen them so many times, and I didn't even know that there was actually stuff to it. I just thought it was just a cool thing. But Tribute to Terror would be really interesting with everything that they set up last year with that. I think that could be a very, very cool house with the kind of look and vibe, almost like a comic book look, comic book vibe. They showed in the tribute store last year that they can definitely pull that off with a tribute store. So imagine a whole house kind of looking like that. And that would just be something that you would just want to see, because I think overall, I think we all like comics. Like the vast majority of people like comics. So to see something very interesting and very different for Halloween Horror Nights would be cool. And some of the characters that they have, of course, would be really scary. So especially that big like spider thing or whatever it was in the tribute store, all that would be really cool to see, and I really hope they do that. But it makes me wonder what they're going to do with everything else with that. So we'll have to wait and see. Let me know down in the comments if you're excited about that, because I definitely am excited about it. I think it'll be really awesome. Now the last two, I and J, these two are unknown originals. So we're just going to skip over those and not really talk about it. We don't have any clue what these are going to be right now. So just know we've got two more houses coming, and that we may get a little more information in the next Spec Map version 2, but we will have to wait and see. But here's something really interesting that I wanted to talk about is the scare zones. There has been a really big rumor that the weekend is coming back to Halloween Horror Nights, but this time in the form of a scare zone. Now we saw this happen a couple of years ago with Crypt TV, and very similar thing is what I think would happen here. I hope they do this. I enjoyed the weekend house. I thought it was one of my favorites a couple of years ago. So I hope they do this again, because it just would be so much fun. Like, I just love this idea and everything, and maybe having the music play as well through the scare zone would be very interesting, because I felt like going into that Horror Nights, which was 31, that when they had the music playing, that it was just something different, and it just gave you this whole vibe as you were waiting in the queue for that house. I want to see that happen, so we will have to see. And the last scare zone I want to talk about is Blum Zone. Now this could be just different Blumhouse characters. I would love to see this. You could throw so many in there. They're uncountable, I believe. But I really am looking forward to this. I think that would be really cool. This one would be over towards the area. Let's see. This would be where Jungle of Doom was last year. So that would be cool. I think it would be a lot of fun if they did that. But yeah, I feel like, now this is just my opinion, where this scare zone has happened the last couple of years, it's been pretty good. It's been really good. And so let's just see what happens. We had Jungle of Doom last year, and then I forget the one before that. It was, my mind is blanking, but it was a barn. There were pig people. It was so amazing and so cool. So this one could definitely be a sleeper here, but have Blum Zone, that would be pretty awesome, I think. But we'll have to wait and we'll have to see. But I'm really ready for it, and I think it's going to be an amazing thing. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is there appears to only be one show on here again, and that's Nightmare Fuel. That's a rumor for Nightmare Fuel to come back again, which is cool. I'd like to see that happen again. But overall, this has been a great map. I'm getting really excited for Halloween Horror Nights 33. About a month or so ago, I wasn't that excited, but now that things are starting to come out, I'm getting really excited. Also, let me know down in the comments what you think of the previous Halloween Horror Nights shirt that was released. A lot of people have difference of opinions, and if you want to check out that video right up here, so you guys can check that out because it's really interesting. And I would like to see what your guys' comments are on that. Also, talking about Halloween Horror Nights, the dates have extended this year from August 30th to November the 3rd, which is the longest Halloween Horror Nights ever. And the reason why it's starting on August the 30th this year is because the way that the weekend falls from Labor Day weekend. So very interesting, very cool, a lot more Halloween Horror Nights. Tickets are available now, single day tickets, Express Pass, Rip Tour, and Unmasking the Horror tickets are available now. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, hit that like button and the notification bell so you know when our next video is coming out. And remember, I will see you in the fog.